Hello, this is Inner Kid Keto, segment 66. I'm your host, Linda Schiller Hanna, and I'm glad you've joined us today. Whether you're here most of the time or this is your first time, you're incredibly welcome. Today we're going to talk about fear of power. Power is an important word, and a lot of people who overeat, who stuff their feelings, have a fear of expressing our power. There's been times I've had that. And sometimes, even though I'm doing this daily, I need to sometimes talk myself down and say, come on, Linda, you can do this. And one of the things I'm trying to do is live up to this shirt, which says, use your voice. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you a little of my backstory about using my voice. When I was in grade school, my favorite part of the day was show and tell. I bet you're not surprised. Now, my dad was a very expressive, dramatic, Leo, center of attention kind of guy. And in our household, he got most of the attention. But when I was in first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade with show and tell, Dad wasn't there, and I got to have the limelight. And believe me, Linda loves the limelight. So it became embedded in me that speaking in front of people was fun. I know some of you say they would rather die than speak in front of people. It's one of the most common fears, is fear of public speaking. However, I began to learn the power of the voice early on. After show and tell, I was about a junior, senior in high school, and we had a speech class. And we had to write, I think, just a 3-minute speech. And I remember standing up in front of 30 other students and being terrified. But I remembered my first sentence and how everybody in the room paid attention. It was the first time that I wasn't the mousiest, most scared, skinny girl in the room. I felt some kind of power. And this was my sentence. I said, at the age of 9, disaster struck my life. That's when my parents divorced. Somehow it grabbed attention. And I'm looking back, probably even a third of the class had a divorced family. But of course, that was all about me, and that's all I could think of was my pain. But I was vulnerable enough. I was able to share something from my truth that pulled people in. And to this very minute, I'm still trying to share from my truth and pull you in. Pull you into an insight, to an understanding, to an awareness, to something that would be helpful. I don't know, I can't be pushy about it, but I can invite you. Excuse me, my nose itches. It's one of those things. I always say, no editing, you get the real Linda. When I was in my late 20s, I was a secretary, and someone told me about you could make a lot more money as a court reporter. And so I immediately signed up for court reporting class. And you had this little machine, and you would, it was kind of like a typewriter, but it was very small, and you had to do little gestures. And I would be listening to some kind of headphones and trying to write down everything they said. They'd go slow, and then they'd get faster and faster as you work with it. But before I even knew I had intuitive ability or psychic ability, an inner voice kept saying to me as I was writing down other people's words, I have something to say. I have something to say. I have something to say. Something inside my head said, I have something to say. Well, I eventually gave up the court reporting, eventually gave up the secretarial thing, and eventually opened up my psychic ability when I had my Skylab dream. The Skylab would land in Australia, in Perth, and I called the paper and they published it, and within 24 hours it landed within a couple hundred miles of Perth. And that kind of opened my whole new path. But it was the beginning of owning some kind of a spiritual power, a wholeness, a sense of destiny. And speaking to you today is another layer of that destiny. Now, years back, long before I was in the program of learning to do the court reporting, I was a Navy wife, and we were in Washington, D.C. area when the Martin Luther King riots happened after Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I happen to love Martin Luther King, and I hardly think anyone has never heard his I Have a Dream speech, but it's on the internet. His voice, his passion, his power was unmistakable. You can hear it. I have a dream. And if you've never heard it or you need to hear it again, I invite you to look that up. That's why I have Martin Luther King t-shirt here. We went to Memphis. We went to the bridge where they crossed. We went to the Southern Poverty Law Center, saw the fountain made by Maya Lin, took the tour. Very powerful place. I love our brave leaders. I can't even imagine how he was able to be so brave in that period of history. It was a very dark period of history. Another person who was also imprisoned and who went through horrible times was Nelson Mandela. And that's why I put fear of power up here on the board. I want to read the quote that Marianne Williamson wrote that Nelson Mandela used in his inauguration speech. And this is profound. And this is also on the internet, and you can hear both Marianne's voice saying this and Nelson Mandela's voice saying this on the internet if you wish, but I'm going to just read it now. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. That's Marianne Williamson. You may remember that she ran for president this last term. I'm going to show you this wonderful cape that my little sister made me. I have to turn around, but you can see it is Wonder Woman. My sister has been one of my greatest supporters this lifetime. We've kind of had each other's back and believe in each other. That's Teresa in Portland.